Alrighty, I'm back. All right, the second paragraph, or the first paragraph in the body of the essay, has just a couple of changes. I felt like it needed a little bit of a stronger introductory line, okay, that the paragraph needed to be a little stronger at the very beginning. And so I worked with this, and I came up with the following. It doesn't seem necessary to have cameras in classrooms because when students are in their classrooms, teachers are in the classrooms too, usually. So I just revised that sentence. I just felt it needed to be a little stronger. From there, I took out the word but. It is okay to occasionally use but at the beginning of a sentence. However, I thought when would be a better choice there. When a teacher goes out of the classroom, what usually happens is either everything goes on as usual, I changed it to expected. Everything goes on as expected, or the students get a little more talkative. Cameras aren't, and he or she had there. Cameras aren't there. I changed that to needed. Cameras aren't needed just because students talk a lot. I took people out and made students because that's really what he or she is referring to. It is the teacher's job to keep students quiet. If something horrible happened, somebody in the class would usually report it. Or it would just be obvious to the teacher when he came back that something had happened. And then I added a sentence at the end to wrap up this paragraph and to make sure the point of this paragraph is very well stated, very clearly understood, and that is cameras aren't needed if teachers are monitoring their classroom. And I took that partly from the writer's words and kind of worked with it a little bit, but I tried to make it very clear there. Because in an essay where you are sort of arguing a point, trying to get a very strong opinion across or feeling across, you want to make sure that you have some statements that are very clear. All right, the next paragraph. Not too many changes here. But let's look at what I've suggested. If we already have cameras in halls, why spend the money to get 30 more cameras for all the different classrooms? Our school district already has a tight budget. Tight, I think, is a better word here than low. You could use the word small, but low is not a very good choice here. Tight budgets, though, are budgets that don't have a lot of room for extra, okay? So sometimes we operate on tight budgets in our homes, okay, in our workplaces. Our school district already has a tight budget, so we would be spending money on something completely unnecessary. There hasn't been camera-worthy trouble in I added the word our there because he's talking about the school that he's in. Camera-worthy trouble would be, and I added, defined as bad behavior every time a teacher left the room. And then I took out the next sentence because to me it seemed unnecessary. It seemed what we call redundant. Redundant means you've already said something and you're kind of repeating it again, and it just didn't seem to be necessary because remember, we're always thinking about concise writing, saying what's necessary but not saying way more than that. And then to wrap that paragraph up, making sure that the final sentence is strong. I believe our school district could use funds for more necessary expenses. All right. The next paragraph, not too many changes here. Different students react differently when there is a camera in the room. Some students get nervous and flustered, trying hard to stay focused on their work with a camera focused on them. 90%, okay, we never start a sentence with a numeral unless we're talking about a date. And sometimes if we're, maybe 1892 was an important year because, okay, in that case, you can use the date as a numeral. But in this case, we need to write out 90%, okay? 90% of students claim that they do better work when they are calm, and cameras will not help them feel calm. So I just clarified that a little bit. Other students look at cameras as a source of entertainment. These students will do things such as wave at the camera, make faces, or say hi to the people watching through the camera. This could be a big distraction for others who are trying to learn and participate in class. And as you see, the rest of the paragraph goes on, and I didn't make any suggestions there. I did work a good bit with the conclusion. We talked about this the other day, that the conclusion to me felt a little weak. If somebody feels strongly about something, the conclusion needs to be that last punch, okay? It needs to clinch the entire argument. And if the essay is, it doesn't have to be an argumentative essay. No matter what the essay is about, your conclusion is your last chance to say what you need to say to your reader. So I kind of played with it. I added here, once again I ask, and I went back to the question at the beginning that sort of formulated the topic for us. Once again I ask, how could it possibly be a good idea to put cameras in classrooms? Okay, let's think about that one more time, is sort of what I'm saying here. And then I inserted the word clearly, because clearly is a strong word when we're talking about making a point, okay? Whether it's a point in an argument or whatever, but clearly lets people know that this is easy to see. You just got to stop and look at it. Clearly, instead of solving problems, cameras would cause, and I added, even greater problems. I think that adds strength here. That is why I disagree with the idea to put cameras in classrooms. I left that as is, and then I created a ending sentence that hopefully would make the reader stop and say, I need to think about this. I'm going to consider what this writer has had to say. And I'm going to, think on this issue a while. I challenge you to consider my argument and not allow this plan to be put into action. We know from reading this a few times that the school has probably said, we're going to put cameras in place, okay? And this person then decides, I need to do something, okay? I need to make a statement about this because I don't think it's right. I don't think it's a good idea. When you decide to do that, no matter what the issue is, you need to do it with strong conviction, okay? Conviction is belief. Okay? And give good, strong reasons and be very clear. Can we still hear the writer's voice when he or she is being very clear? And the answer is yes. We talked about what voice in writing is and how very important voice in writing is. You can have voice in argumentative writing, you can have voice in informational writing, you can have voice, of course, and your fiction writing, and on and on. It's just going to sound a little differently. I think the writer has voice throughout his or her essay here. I don't know the person, but I think it's natural sounding. I think that the beginning with the anecdote was one of the best ways for us to get a sense of writer's voice, the telling of the story. And my only issue with that was that I thought it could be a little more clear so that the story would get across, the point would get across well to the listener or the reader. But throughout the article, I get the idea that, this person, they're going, but if you did this, here's what would happen. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. I think I hear his or her voice coming through in this essay. Overall, I think that this is a good example for helping you to see organization, for helping you to see how we can take something and look at it with new eyes and consider revisions that might make some, a piece a little bit stronger. A final note here, I did not do much editing work at all. The person who wrote this essay had really done a good job of editing punctuation, spelling, capitalization, grammar usage. Those are kind of, the parts of editing. Very different from revision. Revision means to enhance the meaning, and you know that. And so this one did not require much editing work at all, partly because we can do so much editing right on the computer today with spelling check and grammar check. Makes a lot of difference there for us. We will look at other essays and go through this process with some others. I hope it's very helpful to you and will make you even more comfortable when you're writing your own essays or whatever sorts of writing you may be pursuing. All right. With that, it is time for jokes. I have two today, and I'm actually going to tell them without reading them. So, here we go. What do you call a strawberry that is sad? What do you call a strawberry that is sad? Think about it. A blueberry. I think that we've talked about this before, but in English, we often describe someone who is sad or feeling down. We say that they are blue. A blue mood, okay, is a mood when you're not feeling so happy. What do you call a strawberry that's sad? A blueberry. Okay, and the next one. A man went into the library and walked up and asked the lady at the desk, "Do you have hamburgers and fries?" And she said, "You're in a library. Do you realize that?" And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have hamburgers and fries?" I know you're laughing so hard right now. Wish I could see you laughing so hard right now.